Alright, what is going on YouTube? Adonis coming back at you with a brand new video today. As I'm sure you could tell by the thumbnail, we are rebuilding the New England Patriots. They had the number 3 overall draft pick in this year's draft, and so they are number 3, technically number 4 because they started with the Broncos. They're my favorite team. Been over this like 4 times now. But they were the number 3 team in terms of draft order. Without further ado, man, let's get into this roster because it is a very interesting group. Take a look at the quarterbacks. Obviously, Drake Maye is going to be our guy, but sitting behind him, we do have Joe Milton. I do think 88 speed is a little fast, to be honest. Drake is, I think, going to be our guy for sure. At halfback, we've got Raymondre. I think he's too young to just not develop. Antonio Gibson's also like only 26. If we can continue to develop these guys, I think we've got, you know, a legit shot at competing. And I think for a third down back, having Antonio Gibson and then having Raymondre, I think we're set. In terms of wide receivers, we've got like a really interesting kind of group, right? So we've got Jalen Polk, who we just drafted. We've also got Javon Baker, who we just drafted, right? And we really want these two guys getting touches. We've also got like KJ Osborne, Demario Douglas, Juju, right? Kendrick Bourne. We've got kind of a really interesting group here, right? I will tell you right now, realistically, what I'm probably going to be doing is I think we're going to keep Polk. We'll probably let Bourne stay for the season. We'll definitely keep KJ. I think he's young enough to where he can still develop. I would like to start Baker. I think Demario Douglas, like we might keep around. I mean, he was like pretty solid last year, so like we'll probably keep him around. I think Juju we're probably going to get rid of. So realistically, probably getting rid of Kendrick Bourne and Juju. Gonna try and get some trade value back for these guys because it's a little bit crowded as of right now in terms of the wide receiver core, and if we could cut it down from 6 to 4 and then kind of rely on the run game a little more and, you know, maybe get these rookies more touches, I kind of like that idea. Tight end, we've got Hunter Henry. Think he's gonna be a beast. Offensive line is interesting for sure, and I think to like get a good idea of what the offensive line really looks like, we gotta come in here, right? We've got Cole Strange left guard, we've got Andrew center, Michael Onwenu at right guard, right? So our guards are looking good. Tackle is kind of, we're on the struggle bus there, right? Especially right tackle, right? Which is Drake's strong side tackle. I've also given Drake superstar dev. I think he's good enough to have that. I was like hesitant. I was thinking about maybe giving Baker and Polk star dev at least. I think Polk will probably have like hidden dev in the next game, but for the sake of this video, I wanted to keep it, you know, kind of a little bit realistic just in case like Jalen Polk's injuries do catch up with him, right? Defensively speaking, we've got an interesting group, right? We've got like Uche and Judon are both at outside linebacker. We've got like Barmore, Devon Godshaw, we got Dietrich Wise, we got White, right? Secondary, I think is really our strong suit, and then our like front seven's a little bit weaker outside of like Judon, but he's going to start to regress here pretty quickly because he's 31, right? So maybe a player we look to move before long. Again, like a lot of stuff going to be happening with this team, but what I'm going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and trade Juju and then, you know, see what we can get back for him and maybe trade Bourne as well. So I think this might be the like worst trade that the Bears could ever make if they gave up Cole Kmet for Juju, but I mean, I want these to be realistic, but like your game you're giving me, like this is what you're giving me, so we're taking Cole Kmet, obviously, right? Like that, I think makes way too much sense, especially with this offense that the Patriots like to run. Jesus, look at all these receivers. Keyshawn Boutte, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, he was the one that just got in a bunch of trouble about gambling not that long ago. I think that was him. I'm not sure. We've also got like Tyquan Thornton, dude. Like we've got some guys, man. Jalen Reagor, don't love him. We're gonna see what we can get for Kendrick Bourne as well. I think Kendrick Bourne for Walker Little in a 7th is kind of hard to pass up. Walker can just kind of immediately come in and play that right tackle spot. Not like a huge upgrade, but like at least an upgrade. So this is the squad that we're rocking with heading into season number 1 of this rebuild. I think Walker does give us just a little bit more than a 64 overall, I'm hoping at least. We've got our core of 4 at right tackle now. We're starting Cole Kmet over Hunter Henry, right? We've got KJ, we've got Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, Demario Douglas, we've got like Tyquan Thornton, Keyshawn Boutte, we've got our boy Drizzy Drake Maye. I'm very interested to see how this offense is going to perform. I think realistically, we kind of need to change our scheme. Yeah, I think like we need to kind of use our strengths, right? And so I think like a vertical run scheme is going to work well for us. Like a lot of shotgun, a lot of single back, right? A lot of kind of 11 personnel stuff. I think we should be solid. And then also like if we want to go into like 2 tight end sets, right? Like with Komet and Henry, I think we should be good as well. Defensively, this is what we are rocking with going into the season, right? We've got like Christian Gonzalez really want to continue to develop, Christian Barmore, Devon Godshaw, right? Josh Uche, we've got Judon as well. In terms of specialists, realistically, like Javon at slot would probably be like deadly. I would like Demario Douglas at slot. I think he'll get playing time anyways. In terms of like third down and power back, I think that's exactly what it should be. Like, I think this team looks decent heading into the season, man. I am interested to see how we're going to play. I think we're going to set like 7 wins. Like, I feel like we're kind of like if Drake Maye can come out and ball out, then I think we'll be set. Without further ado, though, let's get into this rebuild officially. I will see you guys at the mid-season mark. All right, so we are sitting at 2-5 at the mid-season mark. I'm interested to see kind of what's going on with that. Why, maybe? Are we underperforming? Let's go ahead and take a look at our schedule, man. I am interested to see. So we started off with a win against the Eagles, got whooped by the Finns, lost to the Jets, got whooped by the Cowboys, lost to the Saints, beat the Raiders, barely lost to the Bills. So, I mean, I'm seeing when we lose, we're getting destroyed. Other times it's like close games, right? And that's kind of what happened with my last video. So I'm interested to see what is going on from a stats perspective, right? So we're at 65% completion percentage, about 91 passer rating. It's not like insanely good. 9 TDs to 5 picks is like all right. Rushing wise, we are not averaging a lot on the ground at all. We are not getting after it like I was kind of hoping we would be. Receiving wise, Jalen's our number 1 guy. Javon Baker's got 4 scores on the ground, but your number 1 wide receiver in terms of yards, right? Looks like your biggest kind of deep threat in terms of yards is not getting touchdowns. Not great, right? Not great. Blocking wise, are we allowing a lot of sacks? Walker Little, the guy that we had brought in that we were kind of hoping wouldn't be a turnstile, is turning out to be a turnstile. So gonna have to probably address that in the draft. Defensively, we are getting like all right production. I mean, I would love to see Judon with more sacks, right? He's kind of, in my mind, too good to not have that good of production. It looks like our secondary, though, and that's kind of what we were saying, right? Our secondary is going to be our strong suit, and they're getting a lot of takeaways for us, right? Leading the team in tackles, 3 guys in the secondary, right? So again, kind of being our secondary is kind of keeping us, it seems like, relevant. Yeah, but like, if your cornerbacks are having to make a lot of tackles, that likely means we're not getting pressure, right? We're not creating sacks. I think we have interceptions through just the virtue of our secondary being good, realistically. So that's something that we're going to, again, have to kind of address in the offseason. It's going to be something we got to look to kind of figure out. So I was thinking, right, what could we do to give us a better shot at competing? And right, we've got a lot of rookies, right, that are gonna be growing as time goes on. I think, though, bringing in someone that's already established in the league is kind of something we need to look at doing. And I think T. Higgins is kind of is got to be that guy, right? We're gonna see what they say for a second. So we're probably gonna have to give up a first for T, right? Or at least swap some stuff around. And I mean, realistically, like, one of their top needs is outside linebacker, and I'm considering just a swap, right? Like, if we could offload Judon's contract, right? He's getting older, he's not producing as much, and then pick up T. I mean, dude, I think that's kind of perfect, right? So now we get a true alpha number 1 wide receiver to plug into this team. I think it's going to help Drake a lot. So we finished 5-12. Looks like bringing in our guy T. Higgins didn't really do that much, but it does give us like a decently high draft pick, right? I want to see what happened with the stats. Like, you know, how do we do? Okay, Drake was able to put up almost 4,000 yards, right? 22 TDs to 8 picks, I think is like fine. Right, that's not bad. I would like a little more touchdown production out of him. With that being said, our receiver core, we're still young, we're still growing, we're still learning, right? So we're kind of expecting Drake within the next couple of years to bump that closer to that 30 touchdown mark. Rushing wise, I checked it, and Raymondre got injured about halfway through the season, right? So it means we really had to lean on Antonio Gibson. I'm considering, like, do we need to draft a new back? Are these backs just not functioning well in this like vertical run offense, right? Do we need to switch to like a spread or West Coast type of offense. We'll see. Perhaps it's the playbook, right? Receiving wise, Cole Kmet led our team. Only had 2 picks though. T. Higgins was second, right, with 630 yards and 6 TDs. Jalen Polk, like, did not get in the end zone. He's got the Kendrick Bourne bug. Or not the Kendrick Bourne, the Jacoby Myers bug. Javon Baker, able to score 7 times, right? So not a 1,000-yard receiver, but Cole Kmet bringing him over in a trade, right? And then T. Higgins also bringing him over in a trade. I think that's decent. Sack-wise, right? Okay, Walker Little, you are out of here. And actually, our right tackle, Okorafor, played very well. In terms of sack production, Barmore was our guy, right? Dietrich-wise, Keon White got in. Uche, not that much production, right? Javon Bentley got in a little bit, and then interceptions-wise, yeah, I mean, the whole entire secondary was kind of balling, right? Tackles-wise, Jelani Tavai able to turn it up in the second half of the season, and that's probably because of the departure from the team for Judon. So we finished 23rd in offensive yards, and then defensively, 31st, right? We were letting everybody score, right? So I think, again, that's that front 7. We probably we're getting kind of killed in terms of, 123 yards rushing a game. I mean, it looks like we were allowing a lot of passing, generally speaking, as well. So Drake Maye was actually able to come in 6th for the Offensive Rookie of the Year voting, which I think is great. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I would be, we had Christian Gonzalez, right? And keep in mind, the draft classes from 2023 and 24 are mashed together in this, right? Which is why we would see someone like Junior Colson win it, right? Or Dwayne Carter as opposed to like Will Anderson, right? Looks like overall, man, I think we had like a decent season. In terms of like developing the team, obviously, right? Record-wise, not indicative of a good season in the slightest. But I think if we take a look at our lineup, we're going to see, our guys have, right, we've got 81 overall May. We've got some guys at different spots kind of around the team, right? We need to replace Walker Little. That's kind of a priority for us. I think defensively, like Jawan Bentley, able to get star dev, right? I think realistically, it'll be bringing in another guy opposite Sion Takitaki. Jabril Peppers has superstar dev, which is awesome. We also have this dude who has the sickest hair ever. The secondary does not give me any pause, right? And do we maybe take someone like Marty Mapu and put him down like middle linebacker in that robber position? Perhaps. I think that might be beneficial. We've got a lot to kind of work with, but before we do any of that, we got to go ahead and re-sign some players. So we've got 12 players to potentially re-sign. We are certainly bringing back, I mean, looking at like most of these guys, like we'll bring back Taki. I mean, yeah, we've got some guys to bring back, but it's no one insane, and we've got a lot of money, right? Able to get out of that contract with Judon, right, before it kind of got a little crazy, right? We got Uche, we had to throw him a little more money. I think Hunter Henry, he is a little bit older, but I think it's not a bad thing, right? Gibson, I'm like hesitant to bring back. Thing is, running backs are like just so cheap. It's kind of hard to like pass up. We'll sign back like Sione Takitaki. We'll bring back Zappy on like you're a backup quarterback. All right, shut up, dude. Fine, we'll bring back Jacoby Brissett. Yeah, there we go, right? Like you're a backup. For the rest of these guys, I don't really see any reason. Maybe Kevin Harris for like running back depth, just because they're so cheap. There we go. All right, so we got 57 mil in cap left, baby. Love to see it. I'm kind of like a lot of the tackles, right, are going to be, the good ones at least, are going to be older, generally speaking, right? It's our number one need. I would definitely agree with that. We could use an outside linebacker, right? That's one of those things where we could potentially look at bringing in Braxton Samuel, right? One of those guys that I would like to draft. John Hale, right? Looks like there's a lot of outside linebackers in this draft class, which is great. There's also like a decently high overall tackle, right? Maybe we entertain trading back. All right, so taking a look at the free agents, immediately I want Pat Queen on this team, right? I think he would fit into that middle linebacker spot for the Patriots, like, very well. Middle linebackers are pretty cheap, right? He's relatively young. I think that's perfect, right? I'm not really seeing a whole lot else that I would want to bring in. I think maybe, Cesar Ruiz, like, wouldn't even be an upgrade. Javon Kinlaw's an interesting one. Obviously, like, we could, like, splash and bring in, like, Amari Cooper and Chris Jones. I just don't think that's really, like, realistic. Jalen Johnson is an interesting one, because it's like, we have cornerbacks literally everywhere, right? Like our secondary is very strong. He would bring a big, like a lot of cap hit. Look at that 2028 cap hit. Like it'd be hefty, right? But you know, John Jones is 30, right? Maybe we do bring in Jalen Johnson because like John Jones is gonna start to regress, right? So then we bring in a younger guy to kind of surpass him, and then we pair Johnson with Christian Gonzalez, right? And then we've got Marcus Jones as well. I think that's a great fit schematically. So we were able to bring both of our guys in, and I think that brings us like it gives us just like a way better fighting chance defensively, right? We're probably going to look to address offensive line in the draft, right? Maybe trade back, pick up a second or an extra first next year, right? Continue to kind of try and build on what we've got going here, right? I'm seeing Donnie McAllister, right, at left tackle, 4th overall, right? I think we should probably be picking, yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough. It's like, do we address do we build up this team around our guy or around our defense a little bit more, right, to give the offense a fighting chance, preferably, like realistically, like looking at the team, right? Like outside linebackers not a need. And it looks like there's some solid enough players down the board, right? Even draft like a lighter, right, power rusher, play him outside linebacker type of thing. So we'll see, man. I'm excited for this draft, and without further ado, let's get into it. We're gonna take a gander. We're gonna take a look at these trades again and see if anything's worth it. The Falcons are offering us a haul to move back to 12. I think we're gonna go ahead and take that. We're getting a 3rd rounder, which we lost in the trade to T. Higgins. They are taking Terrence Cage, the cornerback. What does that mean for us? That means our tight end that we loved was not, or our tackle that we loved is not there anymore, which is unfortunate, but it kind of is what it is. Do we draft best player available? I'm seeing John Bullard, a power rusher. Looks like a very decent overall athlete, not an agile guy. Finesse moves is crazy. With only C block shit is like, it is what it is. I think personally I like Jimmy Price is a little bit better of a fit, right? He's not gonna be a great zone coverage guy, but he is just a little bit more athletic. We're gonna pull the trigger here on Jimmy Price, and we get a hidden dev 85 speed, 6'5", 246 replacement for Matthew Judon. And now we pick again at pick 3 in round 2. So we addressed one of our needs on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, I'm looking at a right tackle right here, man. I mean, we've got Duncan Griffith, who is a little bit on the smaller side for a tackle. But he's got a pass. Oh yeah, you get over here, dude. Are you kidding me? Pass block, finesse, and pass block. Great. Right? So we just got our tackle. We just kind of filled 2 of the bigger holes on our team, and now we get to draft kind of for fun, if you will, right? Is there a halfback? Is there some crazy wide receivers, right? I do like George Sanchez as another back in this offense, right? 4'4", right? Nothing crazy, but a very strong running back, and he has a ball carrier vision. And I think it's like a fun position we can draft. And we get another hidden depth player, man. I mean, we're knocking it out of the park right now in this draft. Let's go ahead, let's sim to the end and see how we did. So let's take a look at our draft recap, right? How did we do? And we drafted a 76 overall, 2 73s, right? Like, I think that's a pretty strong draft. Taking a look at the overall, like, how did the NFL do as a whole? Oh, that center was nasty. And it looks like we may have dodged a bullet, not a bullet at right tackle, but we were able to go ahead and draft this same overall tackle a full round later. I mean, that's perfect, man. So I'm glad that we went with a kind of, it's still a position in need, but nothing crazy, right? And I feel good going into this season. All right, so taking a look at the squad that we're going into this season with, right? We've got like T. Higgins, Demario Douglas, Javon Baker, Kushan Butte, right? We've got Sanchez that I want to start him. I want to see how he can do. Our boy Drake Maye, obviously. And then defensively, right? We've got Price, who we just drafted. We've got Uche, we've got Pat Queen, we've got Jawan Bentley, Devon Godshaw, Christian Barmore, we've got Jalen Johnson, we've got Christian Gonzalez. Like, our secondary looks awesome, our front 7 looks decent. Maybe look to bring in a defensive tackle or a defensive end at some point. So we're gonna set our season goal now. I feel I feel pretty good for like 7 wins. Like we might still be a year away from a super high, a super good record. Another thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and change the playbook as well. I think vertical power run or vertical run should be still like good. I just think in terms of like the offense, West Coast spread is interesting. I think vertical zone run is good though. I think we're gonna go with the Vikings playbook. I know it's kind of weird for like vertical, right? It's a little bit more of a West Coast style, but I feel like the plays themselves, right? Like Drake likes to take these big, deep shots, and I think that'll be good, man. So without further ado, aiming for 7 wins on the season. I'm hoping for closer to like 9 or 10, but I will see you guys at the midseason mark. So at the midseason mark, we're sitting at 3-4. I kind of want to go through again, like as we always do, and kind of like what is going on? What is happening? Why are we 3-4, right? Are we losing close games? Is that what it is? Dude, like 2 back-to-back 1-score losses, right? Jesus, man. And then we go on a little streak, and then we lose to the Finns, who look like a super team now. And then we lose to the Cardinals as well. So it's like we're performing better, right? If we win 2 of those 1-score games, we're 5-2, right? Drake loving the step up in production. I think that could be attributed to the playbook change, likely. Would want a little bit more touchdowns from him at this point, but I am okay with all the yards, man. And then the lack of picks is awesome. Rushing the ball. We're not rushing well in terms of yards per carry. It's really odd. It's really weird. I mean, 5 touchdowns is good, but 2 fumbles is not great. I'm just kind of wondering, also 23 broken tackles. Jesus. Long run of 7, right? So it looks like we're not, our downfield blocking is not particularly great. Receiving wise, Demario Douglas leading the team. T. Higgins right behind him. Javon Baker with 8 touchdowns is kind of insane. And then we've got Cole Kmet hanging back there, right? And Jalen Polk's not getting as many touches, right? It's an interesting kind of deal that's going on right now. And sacks-wise, we're giving up, everyone's giving up the same amount of sacks, right? As long as we don't have a big outlier, I'm okay with that. Defensively, right? How are we doing on the defensive side of the ball? And we're down in terms of sack production overall. It looks like a lot of players are getting in, which is kind of good. And then picks wise, we're down a little bit as well. TFLs, are we tackling behind the line of scrimmage? At least we are. It looks like our defensive line, at least decent at stopping the run before it gets going, but we just can't get in the backfield on passing plays. So I'm intrigued by that. Patrick Queen just coming in and doing what we needed him to do, right? And I think offensively, yeah, we're 8th in the NFL in terms of yards. Defensively, still not great, but definitely a step up over last season. We do have some guys that are gonna wanna come back. We've got a lot of money, right? We've got a lot of players to sign that are pretty kind of important to this team. So we were able to bring back some guys for free from free agency or from hitting the free agent market, but we also have some guys that we're gonna have to negotiate with at the end of the season. Let's go ahead, let's into the playoffs and see if we can't make it. All right, so we were able to actually make the playoffs at the end of the season, which is, it's great, man. That's awesome. Able to squeak into the wild card round at 9-8. Let's take a look at the stats, man. Like, stats are going to tell us a story of what happened. And, Drake continuing to build on last season, right? Threw a lot more, actually, interceptions in the latter half of the season, but threw more touchdowns too, right? He was 22 TDs to 11 picks last year. Now he's 27 to 11, right? With about 4,200 yards. Rushing wise, it looks like Stevenson got rock and rolling later in the year, right? Same thing with Gibson. George, looks like the CPU benched him. I mean, if you're averaging 3 a carry, you're fumbling 3 times, like, yeah, you probably should be benched. Receiving wise, holy hell, dude. T. Higgins turned it on. I think that's what we wanted, right? We wanted to bring in an alpha number 1 wide receiver, and we were able to do that with T. Demario Douglas also getting rocking and rolling, and then a real big fall off. I bet Javon Baker probably got injured, and so that's why those numbers are so split between him and KJ Osborne. Cole Kmet able to get some good touches there, right? Like, overall, very good. Let's see how the offensive line held up. And whoa, Duncan Griffith let up a lot as a rookie. A lot. It's a lot of sacks after the midseason mark. And then our boy Okorafor only let up another 1 after the midpoint in the season. So gotta keep an eye on that, but I feel confident in having him. Defensively, Barmore was able to get after it, right? We were able to get a decent bit of pressure, it looks like, later in the season. A lot of interceptions, a lot of turnovers later in the season, which is great as well. Tackles-wise, Patrick Queen led the team. Dude, that's what I need from him, right? It's to be our defensive leader. Overall, yeah, I mean, Offensive yards 11th, defensive yards 15th, right? So defense really turned it up later in the season. Let's go ahead and check out, see if we got any more dev trait upgrades, anything like that, right? Drake is up to a 90 overall. He's actually an 86, but he's playing up to a 90, right? Absolutely love that, right? T. Higgins is up to a 92. I would be really surprised if he didn't hit like superstar soon. Jalen Polk's kind of buried on the depth chart behind like a couple of other guys. And it's like a crowded wide receiver room where I'm not going to, like, Demario Douglas is in real life going to be a great receiver, I think, for the Patriots. And it's kind of tough because I'm like, I'm not going to not play him, right? It looks like we got star dev from our boy Griffith, which is great, up to a 75. Defensively, Jabril has taken a step down this year. Price, for some reason, got benched for Tavai. I don't love that. It looks like overall, like, the team is playing well. They're playing what we need them to be. You know, they're doing what we need them to do, right? I think at slot, I'm gonna throw in Jalen Polk. I want to see how he can do. Power back, Sanchez got replaced by Stevenson. I'm okay with that. Yeah, like, I like this team. I don't think we're gonna be, you know, pushing for a Super Bowl this year, but I am glad that we were able to come away with a good season, a winning season especially. And Drake's continuing to grow, which is awesome. And we lost 35-10. Jesus. Oh my God. Okay, that is crazy. That is crazy. Let's go ahead. Let's sim to the Super Bowl, and then I will see you guys in free agency. All right, so heading into the off season, we've got some upgrades, right? We've got a couple of more players that we want to re-sign, and then we really should be freed up from a cap space percentage or amount, I should say. I think we'll probably have close to 40 million after we're done re-signing the rest of these guys. Obviously, want to bring back Christian Barmore. He did get superstar dev, which is awesome. Definitely want to bring back, or we're going to take Cole Strange's 5th-year option. Of course we are. We've got like O'Shane Ximenez we can bring back, Walker Little as well. We've got a couple of guys we want to bring back, probably Devon Godshaw as well. He's really regressed. And then Dietrich Wise as well. And some of the other guys, like, I'm iffy on, but we should still have a bit left over. We are going to give Christian Barmore a hefty contract. We'll bring back O'Shane Ximenez, and we'll throw him a player-friendly deal, man. Like, I think that's good to have him back. Walker Little's a guy that, like, I don't really care much for, but if we can have him back, then, you know, I'm good with that. Dietrich Wise would like to bring back as well. He's going to test out free agency. I don't want to franchise tag him. It would be pretty expensive for a player that's not that great. Devon Godshaw, I will absolutely bring back. Perfect. Absolutely love it. Calvin Anderson, probably not going to bring back. We don't need that many tackles. I think the rest of these guys we're good to let walk. Obviously, letting Dietrich Wise hit the free agent market does hurt a little bit, but I think we'll be all right. So checking out the free agents here, and we have a lot of money to work with. And I mean, wouldn't I love to have Devontae Smith in this rebuild? That would be awesome. Let's see who else is there, you know. Jaylen Warren's always such an interesting one because it's like, I think he's good, right? But like, we already have like 3 pretty solid backs. I mean, out of this class, realistically, Devontae Smith would be the only one I would want to bring in potentially. I think he fits like Drake Maye really well. I think that'd be really cool. I don't really see anyone else that I would want to like put anything down on. Jaylen Warren is interesting to bring in just because our backs haven't been that good and he is still relatively young. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and offer on Devontae Smith. It's going to be a big contract, but you're getting a superstar X Factor player, right? And it just gives Drake Maye even more help than he could possibly ever need, really. So taking a look at our boy New England Patriot Devontae Smith, so really made moves again to surround Drake Maye with weapons, right? Between all the players that we have drafted, between all the players that we have, traded for and signed for in free agency and stuff, like really trying to help the kid grow and excel in the NFL. So here we go, heading into the draft. We are picking at number 19. Really, I mean, more than anything, probably going to be looking at like defensive line. If there is like a crazy good receiver, which I'm seeing an A deep route running receiver at a USC, kind of hard to pass up. Doesn't look like insanely great from like a speed perspective. Checking out his skills though, I mean, A deep route running, but D medium route and D short route, like that's not really what we want. We did just draft a tackle in this past draft, so we're in kind of a tough spot here because it's like, I mean, we've got like Uche outside linebacker, right? We could really use like a plug and play interior defensive lineman. And this guy, Artie Billups, has like flown up draft boards. I mean, I'm not seeing anything crazy. I do like the look of like B block shed, B power moves from Max Smith, 6'6", 305 out of Bama. That's like more than enough. A play rec also. I think like we could use like a big old plug and play type of guy right there, 6'6", 305 out of Bama, and I think we shore up that interior defensive line a little bit. Now this Markel Sherman kid is still here. We've also got a couple of running backs, which I'm like not really that high on. We've also got Artie Billups, who's like flown up draft boards. I don't really see it. I mean, C awareness, D block shed, right? B power moves. Like he's gonna be a pass rusher more than anything else. With that being said, though, like we'll go ahead, we'll take a chance on the kid, man. Let's see what we can go ahead and bring in. And we do get Artie Billups, a hidden dev player right there. And with Godshaw being, I can't remember. Yeah, Godshaw being on the team still. Dietrich Wise is gone, right? But Godshaw is going to really start to regress. I think we've got something here. And this Markel Sherman kid has fallen so freaking far. Round 1 projected, right? But just falling unbelievably far, right? And I'm feeling like we should probably just take a shot on him, right? His first round grade. Let's see. Hidden dev, right? Like he fell all the way out of the first round, right? So getting even more weapons for Drake Maye. I think we shored up the defense quite a bit, which was, I think, what was going to hold us back this coming season, if anything. And I mean, we'll see how we did in the draft, man. So taking a look at the draft recap, right? How did we do? Oh man, we hit big time on Max Smith. Awesome. We were also able in the 4th to draft a 75 overall cornerback. Able to pick up Sherman as well. It looks like Artie Billups is going to be a bit of a project player, so I am glad that we grabbed Smith right there, right? I think overall, like a pretty strong draft from us, right? 2 mid-70s guys. Obviously not hitting it out the park with like a 83 overall cornerback, but we weren't picking at number 2. So I think we did pretty well, all in all. All right, so this is the squad that we're rocking with heading into the season. I think we look pretty good, right? We've got T, we've got Devontae Smith, we've got Drake Maye, obviously. Cole Kmet's up to an 87 overall. We've got Stevenson, we've got Sanchez, we've got Gibson, right? So 3 pretty good backs. Looking like Stevenson is really getting to be pretty decent at this point. We've also got a rookie Sherman that we just drafted. We've obviously got like Demario Douglas, Jalen Polk, right? Javon Baker. So I think the offense, like, should be ready to pop off. Defensively, right, we're gonna have like Price and Uche off the edge. We'll have Christian Barmore with Max Smith, our new rookie, who's gonna be coming in. Like, I think we're gonna be like set up pretty well, right? Secondary wise, still got Peppers, still got Kyle Duggar, right? We've got Jalen Johnson, we've got Marcus Jones, we've got Christian Gonzalez, we've got a rookie in Bernard, right? Like, I think we'll be set up to have success in this 3rd season. So, I mean, fingers crossed, man. And I will see you guys in week number 8. And we are going to set our season goal. We're making it back to the playoffs, baby. That is what we need to do in this series. Awesome. All right. We just got to the midseason mark. We're sitting at 5-2, baby. Like, that's what we need, man. That is what we need. Artie Billups getting dev trade upgrades. I absolutely love it. Taking a look at the lineup, I'm just looking right now for any dev trade upgrades. I do not see Devontae Smith, which is not good. I'm worried that he is injured. It looks like everyone else is pretty much about the same, which is good. It looks like we're developing, right? Like, hey, love it. Slot receiver KJ Osborne, no. But let's take a look at the stats, man. Let's see like what's the story, right? I have to imagine Devontae's injured, which kind of sucks. Let's see how we're doing. So Drake Maye is lighting it up right now with a lot of yards. A decent amount of touchdowns. Want to get those picks down, obviously, but we're winning games, and that's kind of what matters. Rushing wise, Raymondre is having his best season yet, which is great. Finally averaging 4 a carry. which is, what you want. 5 TDs on the ground as well. Receiving wise, T. Higgins is that guy. Of course, we know we brought him in to be our alpha number 1 guy. It looks like Markel Sherman as well out of USC that fell super, super, super deep is becoming a pretty decent player as well, right? Jalen Polk right behind him. Cole Kmet's getting involved. It looks like Devontae was probably injured like super early on in the season, which sucks. Blocking wise, how are we holding up? We're doing all right. For some reason, we have 2 right tackles, which is interesting. But it looks like we're doing decent as long as no one's giving up double digit, sacks. I'm happy with that, right? Sack production wise, Barmore's getting going. Jamie Price is finally getting going. I love it. Max Smith has got some sacks. Jelani Tavai, Uche, Devon Godcha, Kyle Duggar. And then the secondary, right? Like really doing their jobs, getting a lot of picks, like absolutely freaking love it. And Christian Gonzalez and Pat Queen leading the team in tackles. Love it, right? Want Pat Queen to get some more TFLs, hopefully. But squad's looking good, man. Squad's looking good. I'm going to check what's up with Devontae Smith. I'm hoping he's on IR. I have to imagine he's on IR. And Devontae Smith popped his Achilles. Oh my God, man. Of course, we bring him in. He plays, he gets 30 yards, right? And then dies. Without further ado, I will see you guys at the end of the season. After the amazing start to the season, we fell off. We fell off hard, man. Let's take a look at like what happened, right? Because we were 5-2, and then we went on to I lose a bunch of like 1-score games. It looks like. God, man, what the hell happened? We had it in the bag. Let's check out the stats. Let's see if maybe Drake was throwing picks or defense wasn't performing or, what was going on. So while Drake did throw more picks, he threw a lot of touchdowns, right? And he threw for almost 4,400 yards. Rushing wise, Raymondre again had his best season yet with 9 TDs, right? Freaking George Sanchez able to punch in some on the ground. So offense, I don't think would have been the issue is T. Higgins again, like balling out in this offense with Jalen Polk right behind him, finally getting on the scoreboard. And then Markel Sherman as well. Cole Kmet coming in behind those guys. Maybe not having Devontae Smith hurt, but it doesn't look like a lot. Blocking wise, maybe. Let's see if... And Duncan Griffith, again, like towards the end of the season, just fucking cannot block, I guess. I don't know what's going on with that. Don't know what that is. Bizarre, to say the least. And then taking a look defensively, right? We had some dogs, right? Uche and Barmore had their best seasons by far, right? Max Smith, 4 sacks in your rookie season. Great. Jimmy Price, 2.5, right? Getting a lot of turnovers, right? So the team developed, but we couldn't win games, right? Offensively, we're 8th in yards. Defensively, we're 15th, but we miss out on the playoffs. A little bit of a head scratcher there, for sure. It sucks, I'll say that. Like, it's weird, it's odd to me that we missed out on the playoffs after coming in with such a strong team. But, with having Devontae coming back next year, I can only imagine we'll be even better. So at the midseason... Oh my God. So at the mid-season mark, we are freaking 1-6, right? Like, what is going on, man? I can only think that maybe Drake Maye got decapitated, and that's why. Let's take a look at the stats. Nope. Drake is he's still performing, right? Still doing well, throwing a lot of touchdowns rushing-wise. Raymondre's doing all right, but, like, is our defense just terrible? We've got freaking T. Higgins and Devontae Smith, right? Like, what is happening? Cole Kmet's balling. Demario Douglas is balling. Markel Sherman's balling. Can we not block again? I mean, sort of, but not, like, really. Is our defense just terrible again? It looks like our defense has just regressed big time, right? And we're not getting any turnovers. So, I mean, defensively, I have to imagine defensively we are 32nd in the NFL. I don't know how this keeps happening, how much we have tried to build up and pad this defense, right? Like, looking at the lineup defensively, right? We've got Barmore, Smith, we've got like Grady Jarrett as well, Devon Godcha. Our outside linebackers should be able to create pressure, right? They're not great, but they're still developing. Patrick Queen and Jawan Bentley should be fine. Our secondary is elite, right? Maybe Kyle Duggar's he's the worst one there, but like, where's the disconnect? Like, what is going on? Why are we not creating any pressure? It's bizarre to me, to say the least. Let's go ahead. Let's sim to the end of the season, or sim to the playoffs, and see if we can't turn this ship around, man. So we finished the year 7-10, which I mean, I don't think is like surprising. Drake, again, 4,000 yards, 32 touchdowns. Rushing wise, we are not averaging nearly what we need to be averaging, right? But we're still getting a lot of yards. Able to get a lot of production from our receivers, right? Blocking wise, double-digit sacks for our tackle. I don't know. That's an odd one to me. Defensively, right? Were we able to create more pressure? Yeah. A lot more pressure later in the season, like a whole lot more pressure later in the season, right? And really what I think it is like, we didn't have Max Smith starting at rush DT, and we didn't have Jimmy Price starting at rush right end, even though they should have been, right? So the CPU's reordering shit around, which is annoying, but I think can go to show like I think you can have a amazing offense, right? Or a very good, competent offense, at least, right? And we finished like super high in terms of defense, and I just made those changes at the midseason mark. And so it's like things happen, right? Like the CPU gets a little silly sometimes. But like looking at our regular season after week 8, right? We only lost 3 more games, right? And they were all, outside of the Broncos, they were all 1-score games, right? So 2 out of the 3 are 1-score games, right? So it's, I mean, obviously there's not a whole lot I can do about the CPU going in and like reordering things. It just is what it is. But overall, I feel like this team, like even after this year, right? Even if I did continue doing the sim, would be in a position to have success, right? Like I think overall be very, very decent. And I mean, looking at the defensive rush yards per game, means we're allowing a lot on the ground, man, which again comes back to that front 7 just not being particularly good. And it makes sense that our strong suit would be in our secondary. I mean, this was a fun one, kind of frustrating towards the end. Really thought this season was gonna turn out a little bit better for us, but things happen. CPU reorder stuff, even when you have the setting turned off, which is really annoying. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video and want to see more like it, Arizona Cardinals will be coming out here very shortly. But just drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I would not be surprised if we saw this type of performance from Drake Maye starting very early in his career. I think he's going to be awesome in the NFL. I'm very excited to see how he plays. I love you all. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.